The city of Novara sparkled under the twin suns. Its towers were built with shining metals reflecting light across the streets. Flying vehicles moved between buildings, carrying citizens to their destinations. Humans, machines, and aliens lived side by side, sharing knowledge and trade. Yet even in this advanced city, danger could arrive without warning. Lior walked along the streets in his uniform, a simple gray jacket with the insignia of the palace security team. He was young, strong, and quick-thinking. He loved his work because it gave him purpose. Today, however, the streets were unusually crowded. Citizens gathered near the central plaza, excited to see Princess Amira make a rare public appearance. She was young, smart, and beloved by all, known for her kindness and interest in science and exploration. Lior's job was to patrol the area, keeping an eye out for trouble. He checked the plaza carefully. Everything looked normal at first, but his instincts told him to stay alert. He noticed a group of strangers at the edge of the crowd. Their movements were stiff, mechanical almost. Something about them made Lior uneasy. He scanned their faces and uniforms. They were not from Novara nor from any known allied planet. As the princess stepped onto the viewing platform, waving to the cheering crowd, the strangers made their move. Energy weapons flashed in the sunlight, cutting through the air with deadly precision. Panic erupted immediately. Citizens screamed and ran, scattering in all directions. Smoke and sparks filled the plaza. Lior's heart raced, but he did not hesitate. The princess froze, shocked and afraid. Lior pushed forward, reaching her side. The attackers' weapons were fast, deadly, and precise. One soldier aimed directly at Amira. Lior threw himself in front of her, taking the blast on his shoulder. Pain shot through him, but he gritted his teeth and pushed her behind a low barrier. He pulled a small device from his belt. It was a compact energy shield, designed to block short-range attacks. He activated it just as another energy bolt streaked toward them. The shield glowed blue, absorbing the blast and saving both of their lives. "Stay behind me," Lior shouted. His voice was calm but firm, commanding authority in the chaos. The princess obeyed, moving close to him. The attackers were not ordinary. They moved with coordination, clearly trained for this moment. Lior ducked behind a broken fountain, scanning for weaknesses. He noticed their leader, a tall figure in dark armor holding a weapon that pulsed with red energy. Lior realized that if they were to survive, he needed more than strength. He needed strategy. He tossed a small smoke grenade into the middle of the plaza. White clouds erupted, obscuring the attacker's vision. Using the distraction, Lior grabbed the princess's hand and ran. He led her through narrow alleys and side streets, avoiding the main roads where the attackers could aim easily. "Where are you taking me?" Amira asked, her voice trembling slightly. "To safety," Lior replied. "Trust me. We'll get out of here." They moved quickly, using the city's vertical walkways and side passages. Lior's knowledge of the streets helped them stay ahead of their pursuers. Sparks from broken energy weapons flew past them, and the sound of alarms filled the air. Citizens in nearby buildings peeked out, but no one dared intervene. The attackers were organized, dangerous, and clearly not interested in negotiation. Finally, Lior reached a secure side entrance to the palace gardens. It was a place known only to palace staff. He led Amira inside. The garden was serene, with glowing plants and artificial waterfalls. The sudden calm was a stark contrast to the chaos outside. "Are we safe here?" the princess asked, her eyes wide. "For now," Lior said, "but they won't give up easily." He knew this was only the beginning. Whoever had sent the attackers had a plan, and it likely involved more than just a simple assassination attempt. Amira looked at him with gratitude. "You saved my life. Why did you risk yourself like that?" Lior shook his head. "It's my duty. Protecting you is my job. But I won't lie, I also couldn't stand by and watch anyone die." "Not like that," Amira smiled faintly. There was courage in her eyes, but also fear. She realized how dangerous their world could be, and how much it depended on people like Lior. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the garden gates. A secondary team of attackers had arrived. They were not soldiers, but machines, mechanical drones armed with energy blasters. Lior's jaw tightened. He grabbed another device from his belt, a compact EMP launcher. He aimed carefully and fired. The drones collapsed instantly, sparks flying as circuits fried. The princess was impressed. "You are amazing," she said, hiding her worry behind admiration. Lior did not respond. He was already scanning for more threats. He noticed shadows moving near the trees. One of the attackers had survived. Lior lunged forward, tackling him to the ground. They struggled briefly, and Lior managed to disarm the intruder, binding him with energy cuffs. The princess watched silently, realizing that her life depended on more than just palace guards. One person, willing to act fast, had made all the difference. By the time the palace security forces arrived, Lior had secured the area. The attackers were either captured, neutralized, or fled into the city. Lior, however, was injured. His shoulder burned where he had taken the first energy blast, and his legs ached from running and fighting. Medical staff rushed him to the infirmary, with the princess close behind. "You don't have to follow me," Lior said weakly. "Go to safety." Amira shook her head. "I am not leaving. You saved me. I will not leave you alone." Lior smiled faintly, appreciating her concern. It was rare for someone of her status to show such courage and loyalty. "Stay behind me," he said. "I'll be fine, just stay calm." In the infirmary, doctors worked quickly to stabilize his injuries. Energy burns and bruises were treated and bandages wrapped tightly around his shoulder. Lior lay on the bed, exhausted but alert. The princess stood nearby, her eyes scanning the room for any danger. "Why did they attack me?" she asked softly. "They wanted to destabilize the city," Lior explained. "Or maybe the royal family specifically. Whoever sent them is clever and powerful. We need to find out who." Amira nodded, realizing the truth in his words. "You acted bravely. Not many would have done what you did." Lior looked at her. "Bravery means little if it's not paired with action. I did what I had to do. You survived. That is what matters." The Queen Mara arrived shortly after. She was imposing, her presence commanding the room. She had heard of the attack and had come to see the man who had saved her daughter. Her eyes studied Lior carefully. "You risked your life for the princess," the Queen said, her voice steady and powerful. "Many would have hesitated. Tell me, young man, why did you act?" Lior straightened despite his injuries. "Because it was the right thing to do, Your Majesty. And because someone had to stop them." The Queen nodded slightly, impressed. "Novara needs people like you. Courage alone is not enough. Skill, intelligence, and loyalty are required. You have shown all three today." Lior felt a mixture of pride and unease. The Queen's words were powerful, but they carried weight. To serve the royal family was an honor, but it was also a great responsibility. The princess stepped forward. "Please, Your Majesty, let him stay near me. He protected my life. He should not leave." The Queen's eyes softened slightly. "Very well. But know this, he is not just your protector. He will answer to the crown as well. His duty will be to all of Novara." Lior nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. He had survived the first attack, but the battle for Novara's safety was far from over. He was no longer just a security engineer. He had become a shield between life and death, and his choices would shape the future of the city. As he rested in the infirmary, Lior thought about what had happened. He realized that courage alone was not enough. Strategy, quick thinking, and dedication were essential, and most importantly, he understood the responsibility he had accepted. Protecting a princess was not just about guarding her body. It was about defending hope, trust, and the future of an entire city. Outside the window, Novara continued its life. Citizens moved through the streets, unaware of the danger that had passed. Lior knew that this was only the beginning. Tomorrow he would train, plan, and prepare. He would ensure that the city, the princess, and the people he cared about were safe. For now, he closed his eyes, letting the pain in his shoulder remind him of his duty, his courage, and the choice he had made. He had stood between death and life, and he had won. And in that moment, a hero was born. The palace was alive with whispers and quiet steps. Even though the plaza attack had been repelled, the tension in Novara was far from over. Lior rested in the infirmary, his shoulder bandaged, but his mind refused to relax. The city's safety was still at risk, and he knew the attackers were only part of a larger plan. Princess Amira stayed by his side, her presence steadying him. She had refused to leave, insisting that she was as committed to their safety as he was. Lior appreciated her courage, but he knew that the world outside the palace walls was unforgiving. Protecting her meant thinking ahead, predicting moves before they happened, and anticipating threats that were not always visible. Queen Mara entered the infirmary quietly, her long robes brushing the floor. Her eyes were sharp, examining Lior carefully. "You performed well," she said, her voice calm yet commanding. "It is rare to see such instinct and courage. Tell me, did you understand the risk you took? Lear nodded slowly. Yes, Your Majesty. I knew I could be injured or worse. But protecting the princess had to come first. Someone had to act, and I chose to do it. The Queen studied him for a long moment. Novara is a city of knowledge, technology, and alliances. Yet even in this place, danger is never far. What you faced was not random. These attackers were sent with a purpose, and their mission has deeper roots. I need to know everything you observed. Lior described every detail, the way the attackers moved, their weapons, and the timing of the assault. He noted the mechanical precision, the strange red pulses in the leader's weapon, and the drones that followed them into the gardens. Queen Mara listened without interrupting, her expression thoughtful. You have a keen eye, she finally said. That is why I am offering you a role beyond ordinary duty. The princess's life is valuable, but so is the future of Novara. I want you to become her personal protector. You will train with the palace guards, learn to anticipate threats, and act swiftly whenever danger appears. Lior felt a mix of pride and hesitation. Protecting the princess was an honor, but it came with weight. One mistake could cost lives, not just hers, but countless others. I accept, he said finally. I will do my best to keep her safe. Queen Mara nodded. Good, but know this, your loyalty will be tested. Not all threats are obvious. Some come from within these walls, and some are much closer than you imagine. Lior's brow furrowed. From within the palace, the Queen's eyes were steady. Yes, there are advisors and officials who seek power. Not all of them are loyal. You must learn to watch and listen carefully. Trust must be earned, not assumed. Amira placed a hand gently on Lior's arm. Do you think someone here could betray us? She asked softly. I don't know yet, Lior admitted, but I will find out. I will not let anyone harm you or the city. Over the next few days, Lior began his training. The palace guards, skilled in both combat and strategy, taught him advanced techniques in hand-to-hand defense, energy weapon handling, and tactical planning. Lior learned quickly, combining his natural intelligence with disciplined practice. He discovered ways to anticipate attacks, use the environment to his advantage, and protect the princess without putting himself or her at unnecessary risk. Princess Amira watched his training closely. She began to understand the effort required to keep her safe. She admired Lior's focus and dedication. She also realized that courage alone was not enough. It had to be paired with intelligence and strategy. Lior's ability to act quickly under pressure impressed her. One evening, as the sun set over Novara, Lior and Amira walked through the palace gardens. The glowing plants cast soft light across the pathways, and artificial waterfalls created a soothing sound. Despite the recent attack, the palace tried to maintain a sense of normalcy. Do you ever feel afraid? Amira asked quietly. Of course, Lior replied. Fear is natural, but it is not the fear itself that matters. It is how we act despite it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to act even when fear is present. Amira nodded, reflecting on his words. You are different from anyone I have met. Most people would have run or hesitated. You didn't. Lior shrugged slightly. I didn't have time to hesitate. And I knew that if I didn't act, someone else would suffer. Sometimes doing what is right is the only option. Their conversation was interrupted by a soft beep from Lior's communicator. He activated it, receiving a message from Palace Intelligence. The attackers had left behind evidence. Traces of communication signals, partial data logs, and small devices that contained encrypted information. The intelligence team believed these devices could reveal the organization behind the attack. Lior studied the devices carefully. They were sophisticated, designed to resist hacking. Yet with patience and skill, he began to decode the signals. Patterns emerged, revealing communication between unknown operatives. They were highly organized, and their goal was clear: destabilize the royal family and create fear in Novara. This is bigger than I thought, Lior said, showing the data to Queen Mara. You are correct, she said. This attack was only the beginning. Whoever is behind this has resources, planning, and ambition. They are waiting for the right moment to strike again. That is why your role is crucial. You must remain vigilant at all times. Lior felt the weight of her words. Protecting the princess was no longer just a duty. It was a mission to safeguard the future of the city. Every decision, every movement could have consequences beyond imagination. The next morning, a report arrived that confirmed their fears. A group of rogue advisors within the palace had been communicating with unknown entities outside Novara. Their intentions were unclear, but their actions suggested betrayal. Lior realized that the threat was not only external but internal. He needed to learn to navigate the delicate balance of trust and caution. He began observing palace staff carefully, noting unusual behavior, secretive meetings, and hidden communications. He spoke with guards, servants, and engineers, piecing together information quietly. The palace was a maze of corridors, chambers, and secret passages, and Lior used every advantage to watch without being seen. Amira remained a constant presence, offering support and encouragement. She shared her plans for Novara, her dreams for a city free of fear and oppression. Lior admired her vision, realizing that protecting her was not only about keeping her safe physically, but also safeguarding hope and inspiration for all citizens. One night, as Lior patrolled the palace perimeter, he detected movement near the outer gates. Shadows shifted among the walls and the faint hum of energy weapons could be heard. He activated his scanner and identified several intruders attempting to breach security. Using his knowledge of the palace layout, Lior intercepted them before they reached the inner grounds. He captured the intruders, discovering that they were sent by the same organization that attacked the plaza. The intruders refused to speak, but their equipment provided valuable clues, maps, codes, and messages that hinted at future attacks. Lior reported everything to Queen Mara and the princess. The queen studied the information carefully. "Your work is proving invaluable," she said. "But remember, vigilance is never-ending. Every ally must be watched, every stranger questioned, and every threat assessed. Novara depends on your judgment." The princess placed a hand on Lior's shoulder. "You are more than a protector now. You are a leader in this fight, and I trust you completely." Lior nodded, feeling a mix of pride and responsibility. He knew that his journey was only beginning. Protecting the princess was not enough. He had to uncover the hidden threats, anticipate attacks, and outsmart those who sought to harm the city. In the quiet hours of the night, Lior reflected on what he had learned. Courage, skill, intelligence, and loyalty were all necessary to face the dangers ahead. He understood that threats could come from anywhere, outside the walls, within the palace, or from unexpected corners of the city. His duty was to remain vigilant, to act swiftly, and to protect not only a life but the hope of an entire civilization. As the first light of dawn touched the towers of Novara, Lior prepared himself for the challenges ahead. He had survived the first attack, uncovered a deeper plot, and gained the trust of the queen and princess. But he knew that more danger awaited. Each step he took would be critical, and he was ready. Lior was no longer just a security engineer. He was a protector, a strategist, and a hero in the making. The city of Novara would face many trials, but with determination, intelligence, and courage, he would ensure that hope survived, that the princess lived, and that the heart of the city remained safe. The palace of Novara had returned to a careful rhythm. Citizens went about their lives and guards patrolled the streets, but the memory of the attack lingered like a shadow. Lior had become more than a protector. He was now a symbol of hope and courage for the palace. Yet the challenges he faced were only growing stronger. Training had become a daily routine. Lior learned to move silently through corridors, predict attackers' movements, and use advanced energy weapons with precision. The palace guards respected his determination, and Princess Amira observed his training closely. She admired his skill, but also began to see the depth of responsibility he carried. Protecting her was more than stopping attacks. It was understanding threats, reading people, and making decisions that could affect the lives of thousands. One morning, the queen summoned Lior to her private chamber. Her expression was serious, and her presence alone made the room feel heavier. "You have done well," she said, her voice firm. "But loyalty is tested in ways courage alone cannot defend. Today you will face a new trial." Lior straightened immediately. "What is the trial, Your Majesty?" Mara studied him with sharp eyes. "You will join a small mission outside the palace. There is information suggesting rogue advisors are communicating with unknown forces in a sector of the city that is off-limits to most. You must investigate, learn the truth, and act wisely. Discretion is more important than force. One wrong step could alert them to our knowledge." Lior nodded. "I understand. I will proceed carefully." The princess looked worried. "Be careful, Lior. This mission sounds dangerous." "It is my duty," Lior said simply. "I will return safely." The mission required stealth, intelligence, and strategy. Lior disguised himself as a courier, blending with the city's workers and visitors. He navigated narrow alleys, marketplaces, and back streets, observing behavior, listening to conversations, and noting anything unusual. It was meticulous work, far different from the open combat he had faced before. After hours of careful investigation, he identified a hidden entrance to a building that had been abandoned for years. It was subtle, almost invisible, tucked behind a row of glowing plants. Lior crouched behind a nearby wall, scanning the entrance. Energy signals indicated communication devices inside. He knew this was where the rogue advisors were meeting with outsiders. Using a small drone, Lior sent it into the building. The camera feed showed figures moving with purpose, holding devices that transmitted information rapidly. Lior recognized one of the figures, an advisor he had previously trusted. The realization hit him hard. Not all threats came from strangers. Some were closer than anyone could imagine. He activated a small communicator, sending the feed directly to Queen Mara. "Your Majesty, I have confirmation. The rogue advisors are communicating with unknown forces. I recommend immediate action, but discretion is key. We must not alert them." Mara's voice came back over the communicator. "Well done, Lior. Observe, gather intelligence, but do not confront them yet. We need evidence to remove them without creating chaos." Lior watched silently, noting the conversations, movements, and equipment. It was clear that the rogue advisors sought power, planning to destabilize Novara's leadership. They underestimated Lior, assuming that the palace was unaware of their activities. Hours passed, and Lior collected every piece of evidence he could. He documented locations, intercepted messages, and mapped escape routes. Each discovery reinforced the truth. Loyalty within the palace was not guaranteed. Even those sworn to serve could betray their city for personal gain. Returning to the palace under the cover of night, Lior presented the findings to the queen. She studied every detail carefully, her expression unreadable. "This is more serious than I anticipated," she said. "These individuals are skilled, intelligent, and dangerous. You have done well to uncover their actions without alerting them." Lior nodded, understanding the magnitude of her words. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now," the queen said, "we prepare. You will continue training, but also take part in strategic planning. Your role is no longer only to protect the princess. It is to protect the city, anticipate danger, and ensure our enemies never succeed. You are trusted with knowledge few others possess." The weight of responsibility settled on Lior's shoulders. He had survived attacks, protected the princess, and uncovered betrayal. But now he realized the true test had only begun. Loyalty was fragile, and the city's safety depended on vigilance, intelligence, and unwavering courage. Princess Amira joined him in the strategy room. "Lior," she said, "I know you are working hard, but remember, you are not alone. I will support you in any way I can. Together we can face whatever comes." Lior smiled faintly. "I know, Princess. But even together we must be careful. One wrong move could cost lives." Days turned into weeks. Lior continued training, observation, and strategic planning. The palace became a complex puzzle of alliances, threats, and hidden agendas. Every interaction required analysis, every conversation needed careful attention. Lior realized that strength alone would not ensure safety. Wisdom, patience, and foresight were just as crucial. One evening, an emergency alarm rang through the palace. Intruders had attempted to breach the outer gates. Lior rushed to the scene, analyzing the situation quickly. The attackers were not ordinary. They used advanced cloaking devices and precise energy weapons. Lior coordinated with the palace guards, guiding them to intercept the intruders while he moved closer to identify the leader. The attackers were a small, organized unit, clearly trained to bypass security measures. Lior observed their patterns, anticipating their moves and using the palace's layout to his advantage. He blocked corridors, trapped them in secure areas, and neutralized their weapons without unnecessary confrontation. The leader, a human mercenary from outside Novara, attempted to escape. Lior chased him through narrow corridors, leaping over obstacles and using his training to close the distance. Finally, he cornered the mercenary in a secure chamber. The man raised his weapon, but Lior acted first, disarming him and binding him with energy cuffs. The guards arrived moments later, taking the intruders into custody. Lior reported the situation to Queen Mara and Princess Amira. The queen studied the captured mercenary carefully. He is skilled, but he is only a tool. The real threat lies with those who send him. You have done well, Lior. Your judgment and skill have saved lives. Amira placed a hand on his arm. You are incredible, Lior. You face danger every day and you never falter. I am proud to know you. Lior felt a surge of pride but also responsibility. He understood that the city's safety was not guaranteed by courage alone. Every choice, every decision, could influence the outcome of future attacks. He could not fail, not the princess, not the queen, and not the people of Novara. In the following days, Lior began to work more closely with the palace intelligence team. He analyzed communication patterns, traced signals, and mapped the network of the rogue advisors. Slowly, he began to understand the depth of the conspiracy. It was clear that external forces sought to exploit internal weakness, creating a network of fear and chaos. The princess continued to observe him, learning the complexities of leadership, strategy, and protection. She admired his ability to combine courage with intelligence. Together, they discussed plans to improve palace security, develop emergency protocols, and prepare for future threats. Queen Mara called them both to a council meeting. Lior, she said, you have proven that loyalty, skill, and courage are essential, but now you will be tested in ways that go beyond combat. You must learn to anticipate, to lead, and to protect without always being seen. The future of Novara depends on your judgment. Lior nodded, feeling the weight of the queen's words. He understood that his role had evolved. He was no longer simply a protector of one life. He was a guardian of the city, a strategist in a complex web of alliances and threats. Every decision mattered. Every action had consequences, and the balance between trust and vigilance was delicate. Late one night, Lior returned to his quarters. He reflected on all that had happened, the attack in the plaza, the drones in the gardens, the hidden conspiracies, and the rogue advisors. He realized that bravery alone was not enough to face the challenges ahead. Strategy, patience, observation, and loyalty were equally important. He thought of Princess Amira. She was more than royalty. She was hope, vision, and inspiration. Protecting her meant protecting the future of the city, and that responsibility weighed heavily on him. But he welcomed it. He was ready to face whatever trials came next, knowing that courage, intelligence, and loyalty could overcome even the greatest threats. As dawn approached, Lior stood by the palace balcony watching the city awaken. Flying vehicles moved along their routes. Citizens began their day, and the twin suns bathed the towers in golden light. The city seemed calm, but Lior knew that danger was always present. He had survived one attack, uncovered betrayal, and gained the trust of the queen and princess. But the trials of loyalty and courage were far from over, and Lior was ready to face them. He had become more than a protector. He had become a strategist, a guardian, and a hero in the making. Novara's future depended on his vigilance, and he would not fail. The palace of Novara was quiet in the early morning. Mist rose from the gardens, and the city beyond the walls gleamed under the twin suns. Lior stood in the strategy room, reviewing maps, intercepted communications, and patterns of the rogue advisors. Every detail mattered. Every choice could prevent disaster. Queen Mara entered the room with her usual calm authority. Her presence alone commanded attention. She looked at Lior with sharp eyes, measuring his focus, his determination, and his understanding of the city's dangers. Lior, she said, you have proven yourself capable in combat, in intelligence gathering, and in protecting the princess. But today, I will test another aspect of your skill: wisdom and loyalty under pressure. Lior straightened immediately. I am ready, Your Majesty. The queen walked to the central table and laid out a holographic display. It showed the palace, the city's surrounding sectors, and potential entry points for attacks. Your mission is not about fighting, she explained. It is about strategy. One of our closest allies may be compromised. Someone in our council has been giving information to enemies outside Novara. You must discover who it is without raising suspicion. Lior studied the display carefully. He understood that confronting someone prematurely could alert the rogue advisor, putting the princess, the palace, and the city in danger. This required patience, observation, and precise judgment. "I understand, Your Majesty," he said. The Queen nodded. "Good. Your success will depend not only on skill but on understanding human behavior. Observe, gather evidence, and anticipate moves. Your choices will affect the fate of Novara. Fail, and lives will be lost. Succeed, and the city will be safe." Lior left the strategy room with a renewed sense of purpose. He began by quietly observing the palace council. Meetings were held in grand chambers with advisors discussing trade, security, and diplomacy. Lior paid close attention to body, language, unusual patterns, and small details that might indicate hidden agendas. He noticed an advisor who often left the room briefly during important discussions. Messages were delivered in secret, sometimes through coded devices hidden in ordinary objects. Lior tracked these movements carefully, making notes and creating a timeline. Each observation brought him closer to understanding the hidden threat. Meanwhile, the princess continued her daily duties, visiting workshops, laboratories, and public forums. Lior accompanied her, maintaining a close watch, but also learning more about her vision for the city. Amira wanted Novara to be a place where technology and knowledge advanced peacefully, where all citizens could live without fear. Lior admired her determination, and he understood that protecting her meant protecting hope itself. One afternoon, a message arrived from the intelligence team. A coded communication had been intercepted, linking the suspicious advisor to an external organization. Lior analyzed the data carefully. The message suggested that an attack was being planned, targeting the city's communication network and key infrastructure. The advisor was providing information that could make this attack successful. Lior knew he could not confront the advisor directly. Instead, he devised a plan to gather concrete evidence. He arranged a situation where the advisor would attempt to pass sensitive information using a controlled environment created by the intelligence team. Lior monitored every step, recording movements, communications, and interactions. The advisor took the bait. He approached a seemingly ordinary storage room, unaware that it had been modified with surveillance devices. Lior observed through hidden cameras, noting every action. When the advisor attempted to transfer data to a small device, the system captured the act in full detail. Lior now had proof of betrayal. Returning to Queen Mara, Lior presented the evidence. She studied it carefully, her expression serious but controlled. "You have done well," she said. "This confirms that loyalty is fragile even among those sworn to serve. You acted with patience, intelligence, and restraint. That is as important as courage in battle." The Queen summoned the advisor for a private audience. Lior observed from a nearby chamber. Mara confronted the advisor with the evidence, her calm authority leaving no room for denial. The advisor tried to defend himself, claiming misunderstanding, but the proof was undeniable. He was removed from the council and placed under supervision, ensuring that no further harm could be done. Lior felt a mix of relief and realization. Loyalty was tested not only in combat but in choices, observation, and judgment. Protecting the princess and the city required understanding human behavior, predicting actions, and acting decisively when the time was right. The next challenge arrived unexpectedly. During a diplomatic mission, an alert warned of intruders approaching the convoy transporting the princess. Lior immediately analyzed the situation. The attackers were not ordinary mercenaries. They were advanced units with cloaking devices attempting to bypass security protocols. Lior coordinated with the palace guards, directing them to intercept the intruders at key points along the route. He used his knowledge of terrain, timing, and movement patterns to anticipate the attackers' paths. The princess remained calm, trusting his judgment completely. As they approached a narrow passage, the lead attacker emerged, aiming an energy weapon at the convoy. Lior reacted instantly, using a portable energy shield to deflect the blast. He moved swiftly, taking cover and signaling guards to intercept. The attackers were skilled, but Lior's anticipation and planning gave the palace forces an advantage. The battle was brief, but intense. The attackers were neutralized, and the convoy reached safety. Lior checked on the princess, ensuring she was unharmed. Amira looked at him with gratitude and trust. "You saved us again," she said. "I don't know what we would do without you." Lior smiled faintly, feeling the weight of responsibility. "We are safer now, but we must remain vigilant. Danger is always present, even when it seems quiet." Returning to the palace, Lior received another briefing from the intelligence team. More traces of communication suggested that external forces were planning further attacks. Lior realized that the rogue advisor had been only one part of a larger network. The city's safety depended on his continued vigilance, intelligence, and quick action. Queen Mara called him to the council chamber once more. "Lior," she said, "you have proven that courage alone is not enough. Strategy, observation, and loyalty are equally important. You are no longer just a protector of the princess. You are a guardian of Navarra, capable of influencing the city's fate through your judgment and actions." The queen paused, studying him carefully. "This is your greatest challenge yet. The external forces are patient, intelligent, and persistent. They will strike when we least expect. Your ability to anticipate, adapt, and act decisively will determine the city's survival." Lior nodded, understanding the gravity of her words. He realized that every choice, every action, and every observation mattered. Protecting the princess meant protecting more than a life. It meant protecting the vision, hope, and future of an entire civilization. Over the following days, Lior implemented new security protocols, trained palace guards in advanced tactics, and coordinated with intelligence teams to monitor suspicious activity. He also continued to accompany the princess, ensuring her safety while observing the behavior of palace staff and visitors. One evening, as Lior walked through the palace gardens, he reflected on the challenges he had faced. Courage, skill, and intelligence were essential, but so was patience, wisdom, and loyalty. Protecting the city required more than strength. It required understanding, observation, and strategic thinking. Princess Amira joined him, her expression thoughtful. "Lior," she said, "you have changed the way I see protection. It is not only about stopping danger, but understanding it, anticipating it, and acting wisely. You teach me more than I expected." Lior smiled. "I only do what is necessary. Protecting you is my duty, and ensuring the safety of the city is my responsibility. We both have roles to play in this, and together we are stronger." Amira nodded. "The city is lucky to have you." The queen's challenge had taught Lior that loyalty and courage were tested in many ways. He had faced betrayal, anticipated attacks, and acted decisively under pressure. He had proven his ability to protect not only the princess, but the future of Navarra. Yet he knew the true test was not over. The external forces, the rogue networks, and potential threats within the city still existed. His vigilance, intelligence, and courage would continue to be required. Lior understood that protecting the princess and the city was a lifelong commitment, and he was ready to face it. As dawn broke over the palace, Lior prepared for the days ahead. He would continue to train, observe, and act, knowing that every choice mattered. He had proven his courage, his skill, and his loyalty. The city of Navarra had found a protector in him, one capable of facing danger with intelligence and heart. And as he looked out over the city, Lior realized that he was no longer simply a protector. He was a strategist, a guardian, and a hero, ready to face every challenge that lay ahead. The queen's challenge had strengthened him, tested his loyalty, and prepared him for the ultimate trials yet to come. Navarra's future depended on his vigilance, and he would not fail. Shimmered under the twin suns. Yet Lior knew that this calm was temporary. The network of attackers, rogue advisors, and hidden threats still lingered, waiting for the right moment to strike. He spent the early morning in the strategy room, reviewing all gathered intelligence. Maps, communication logs, and patterns of previous attacks lay before him. Each detail mattered. Each piece of information was a clue to prevent disaster. Lior understood that victory would not come from fighting alone. It would come from foresight, coordination, and precise action. Princess Amira entered the room quietly. Her expression was calm but determined. "Lior," she said, "I have been thinking. The city is counting on us. We cannot wait for threats to appear. We must find them first and stop them before they can act." Lior nodded. "I agree, Princess. Every threat we prevent now will save lives later. But we must act carefully. One wrong move could alert them." Together they reviewed intelligence, noting locations of potential attacks and analyzing communication patterns. Lior realized that the rogue organization had planned a large-scale strike against the city's communication hubs, aiming to disable coordination between palace guards, emergency services, and the citizens. If successful, chaos would spread, and the royal family would be vulnerable. Queen Mara entered, her presence commanding attention as always. "Lior Amira, the final test is at hand," she said. "The attackers plan to strike tonight. You must lead the mission to neutralize the threat, protect the city, and ensure the safety of every citizen. The future of Navarra depends on your choices." Lior felt a surge of determination. This was the moment he had been preparing for. Every training session, every observation, and every careful decision had led to this night. Failure was not an option. The plan was precise. Lior coordinated with palace guards, intelligence officers, and trusted allies. Each team had a role: securing the communication hubs, intercepting attackers, and ensuring the princess remained safe. Lior's strategy relied on timing, coordination, and the element of surprise. As night fell, the city's towers glowed softly, their lights reflecting off the streets below. The attackers moved silently, using cloaking devices to approach their targets. Lior monitored the situation through hidden cameras, analyzing every step, every shadow, and every sound. When the first group of intruders reached a communication hub, Lior activated the defense systems he had prepared. Energy shields rose, barriers locked, and alarms alerted palace guards to intercept. The attackers were skilled, but Lior had anticipated their movements. Guards intercepted them quickly, preventing access to critical systems. Meanwhile, Lior moved through the palace corridors with the princess safely by his side. He coordinated communication between teams, ensuring everyone was in position. The attackers attempted diversion tactics, but Lior's foresight and planning allowed each challenge to be met calmly and decisively. At the central hub, Lior faced the leader of the attacking force, a human mercenary known for intelligence and ruthlessness. The leader wielded a pulsing energy weapon, aiming to destroy the hub and disable the city's coordination. Lior acted with speed and precision. Using a combination of tactics learned during his training and ingenuity, he created a distraction, dodged attacks, and disabled the weapon with a targeted energy pulse. The mercenary struggled but was quickly restrained by palace guards. The remaining attackers were neutralized systematically. Lior directed the teams with authority, using strategy over brute force. Within hours, the city's communication network was secure, the attackers captured, and the threat neutralized. Princess Amira watched Lior in awe. "You planned everything perfectly," she said. "You saved the city, the palace, and countless lives. I can't believe how brave and clever you are." Lior shook his head slightly. "It was not only me. Every guard, every intelligence officer, every person who followed the plan contributed. Courage is important, but coordination and planning make it possible to win against larger threats." Queen Mara entered the hub, observing the situation. She studied Lior carefully, her expression one of quiet pride. "You have proven yourself beyond any doubt," she said. "Not only have you protected the princess, but you have safeguarded Navarra. Your courage, intelligence, and leadership have ensured the city's survival. You are a hero in every sense." Lior felt a surge of humility and pride. He realized that standing between life and death was not about recognition. It was about protecting hope, vision, and the future. He had faced countless challenges, attacks, betrayal, and hidden threats, but he had prevailed through determination, wisdom, and courage. In the following days, Navarra celebrated its safety. Citizens cheered, guards were honored, and the palace remained vigilant against future threats. Lior's role evolved further. He was now more than a protector. He was a strategist, a leader, and a trusted guardian of the city's future. The princess visited him one afternoon in the strategy room. "Lior," she said, "Navarra owes you everything. You faced death to protect me, and now you have protected the entire city. You inspire courage and hope in everyone." Lior smiled faintly. I only did what I had to do. Protecting life, defending hope, and keeping the city safe is everyone's responsibility. I am honored to serve. Queen Mara entered quietly, observing their interaction. Liar, she said. Novara has gained not only a hero but a guardian of wisdom and strategy. You have shown that courage combined with intelligence and loyalty can overcome even the greatest threats. I officially recognize you as a trusted agent of the crown. Your duties will extend beyond the palace and into every part of the city where safety is required. Lior bowed respectfully. I accept, Your Majesty. I will continue to serve with honor and vigilance. The princess looked at him with admiration. You stood between death and me, she said softly. And now you stand between danger and the city. Novara is lucky to have you. In the following weeks, Lior continued his work. He trained guards, improved city security, and monitored potential threats. He shared knowledge with Princess Amira, teaching her the importance of strategy, foresight, and careful judgment. Together they strengthened the palace, the city, and the bonds of trust between citizens and their protectors. The rogue advisors had been removed, and external attackers were in custody, but Lior knew vigilance was never ending. Danger could come at any time in ways no one expected. He understood that protection was not only about fighting, but about observing, planning, and ensuring the city's resilience against any threat. One evening, Lior stood on the palace balcony watching Novara glow under the setting suns. Flying vehicles moved along their routes, citizens walked safely in the streets, and the towers shimmered brightly. The city appeared peaceful, yet Lior knew the future required continued preparation, courage, and intelligence. Princess Amira joined him, standing silently for a moment. Then she spoke. Lior, I believe you are more than a protector. You are a hero, a strategist, and a symbol of hope. Your courage has inspired the entire city. Lior looked at her, feeling a mix of pride and humility. I only did what was necessary, he said. But knowing that I can make a difference gives me strength. Protecting life, hope, and the future is worth every risk. The queen joined them, her expression warm but commanding. Lior, Novara owes you its gratitude. Your bravery, intelligence, and loyalty have changed the fate of the city. You have earned the trust of the crown, the princess, and the people. You are more than a protector. You are a guardian of hope. As the sun set, casting golden light over Novara, Lior realized the truth of his journey. He had stood between death and life, facing danger to protect the princess. Along the way, he had uncovered betrayal, anticipated attacks, and led with strategy and courage. Now he was a hero not only in action but in wisdom, loyalty, and leadership. The city of Novara would remember him. Citizens would speak of the young man who stood bravely between danger and life, who protected hope and inspired courage. Lior understood that heroism was not about recognition, but about responsibility, action, and heart. And so he continued his watch, standing ready for the challenges yet to come. Novara's future was brighter because of him. Every choice, every decision, and every act of courage ensured that hope survived, that life was protected, and that the city remained safe. Lior had risen from a simple security engineer to a protector of a princess, a guardian of the crown, and a hero whose actions would shape the fate of Novara. He had faced death, uncovered hidden threats, and emerged stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. The princess smiled at him. You are truly remarkable, Lior. Novara will never forget you. He nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I will continue to do what is right, princess. The city, its people, and you are worth every effort. Queen Mara looked on, proud and satisfied. Novara has found its hero, she said. One who combines courage, intelligence, and loyalty to protect not only life but the future itself. And with that, Lior stood tall, ready to face whatever the future held. The city was safe, the princess was protected, and hope endured. Novara had a hero, and that hero was Lior. The night fell, peaceful and calm, but Lior remained vigilant. For in a world of dangers, a true protector never rests. And thus the story of courage, loyalty, and intelligence reached its triumphant conclusion. Novara had survived, and its hero had risen.